Hello, hello. I am Ben Pick, and thank you for joining me in Running to Write, where I give questionable writing advice through writing metaphors. Throughout this episode, I'll be mentioning a bunch of songs I highly recommend as inspiration for writing, yet as they're copyright protected, I won't be playing them. So in the description below, I'll include a bunch of links where they can be sampled. While I prefer to write in silence, I do use music in preparation to write. In much the same way, music inspires me while running. Certain songs will push me to run faster, no matter how exhausted or sweaty I am, or how steep the hill is. When I am struggling up a hill, I tend to push next on my MP3 player until I get to a song which resonates with me. That allows me to dig deeper and push through the fatigue. I'll do the same thing with writing, where I will wait and find the perfect song to listen through all the way before I start a quality writing sprint. Here is an assorted mix of music which will help you whether you are writing, running, studying, or working. Number 1, video game music. As I mentioned before, I don't tend to listen to music while I write. I find that anything aside from silence leads my mind to wander away from what I'm trying to do, and squirrel! Luckily, there is a genre of music specifically designed to convey tone and ensure that the audience is engaged despite having to listen to the same repetitive track for hours on end. That's right, video game music. These repetitive tracks include peaks and troughs to build or ease tension of the moment. I know quite a few people who use video game soundtracks solely for studying. These are some of my favorites and modern classics to sample. First and foremost is Chrono Trigger, my absolute favorite video game. Yasunori Mitsuda, the composer, managed to take full advantage of the limited hardware of the Super Nintendo to create a unique and absolute masterpiece. So much so that I managed to sneak one of their soundtracks into my, not surprisingly, very nerdy wedding. Oh, I'm so sorry, this is really unprofessional of me in this completely not staged moment where my phone is getting a call. This is also the main theme song to Chrono Trigger, so now you know why I might take a long time to answer, in that I'm probably going to be listening to the song, or I just don't recognize her number, in which case I won't answer. Then there's Chrono Cross, which largely and debatably failed as a sequel, but its soundtrack is stellar. With its island motifs, it feels like continual rolling tides. Some of the milder songs never hit too strong of a peak to prevent me from getting ramped up or too nervous. Meanwhile, others are like giant, crashing waves in a storm, and they always inspire me. Incredible soundtracks have redeemed otherwise lackluster games, and Yasunori Mitsuda has made an outstanding soundtrack within Chrono Cross. For all the mixed reviews and controversies, I enjoy every single replay of Chrono Cross largely due to its music, and that bleeds over into how I use it to inspire my writing. I also have fun with the one-of-a-kind battle mechanics and certain plot elements, yet in my opinion, the soundtrack alone raises this to a top-tier video game. For those who want something from the past 2 decades, Ori and the Will-o'-the-Wisps music can be described in one word: beautiful. Its main theme is such a melancholy, sad yet hopeful tune that I will sometimes sit there for minutes at the start screen and soak it in, contemplating my work in progress. Number 2, live performances. I'm lucky enough to have a bunch of friends who are incredibly musically talented. One friend in particular I've seen perform live multiple times, and after every single concert I will be inspired, so I'll take out my phone and start jotting down notes on the spot. These stored notes to myself have been plot events, character developments, conversations, and random thoughts I've had while being wrapped up in what could best be described as a blanket of indie rock. That friend played in a few bands which dabbled in folk music, which is usually outside of my listening pleasures. But no matter what, I walked away from his concerts teeming with writing ideas. Hypothetically, find a genre or band which inspires you so much They don't necessarily care that your car was totaled while you were at their concert. Everyone was fine, and that was my first concern, but I was still left without a car. Hypothetically, of course, this was me seeing Real Big Fish at the Baltimore Inner Harbor more than a few years back. This episode's inspiration came after the most recent MagFest where I watched a string quartet play live. So COVID and health permitting, go see live performances or watch live recordings, because being wrapped up in such raw talent inspires me to want to be a better writer. Number 3, I love the 90s. Most of my music is from the 90s or earlier, so you can clearly see what's had the strongest sway over me. I am unapologetic about my musical interests, which are a growing number of decades from the present. Not all of them are gems, but plenty have held up against the test of time. Find the music that speaks to you and thrive on it, no matter how many judgmental glares you get for blasting it. Number 4, Broadway show tunes and Disney. Everyone I know has at least one Disney song that they know by heart. Some of them are ridiculous. Some of them make our significant others question their life choices. Like that time she heard me and a car full of my friends pull up to a house, shouting / screaming / singing Mulan's I'll Make a Man Out of You. There were 2 doors and a long hallway between where we were and where she was. Yet despite that, she heard every word. Even though she rolled her eyes when we all walked through the front door, my friends and I were laughing way too hard to care. I know there are other theater fans out there. I remember the Hamilton craze when it first hit Broadway, and when it was rekindled at the start of COVID thanks to a recorded performance which was aired on Disney+. Don't be ashamed to belt lyrics out your car window, no matter what looks strangers give you. Getting into that free-spirited mindset is key for free-flowing ideas and stream of conscious writing. Or it's an excuse to sing catchy songs off key. Who can tell? And lastly, number 5, memory triggers. I have 1 or 2 Fall Out Boy songs on my MP3 player, which I use for running. And no, I don't really like any of their songs. However, an old friend who used to drive me to college was a major fan, and we would spend a lot of that drive listening to their songs. To me, Fall Out Boy represents my carefree and reckless days of college. We would turn a 5-hour drive into a weekend party by stopping at the halfway point to visit with a bunch of our other friends. Listening to Fall Out Boy and countless others takes me back to specific points in my life. Disturbed takes me back to middle school where a buddy and I put their CD on repeat and beat some vampire video game. I have a lot of core memories tied intrinsically to music, and I can tailor my mood by playing certain songs. Beer, The Permanent Rain, Ghost Ride It, Thunderstruck, Werewolves in London, the main theme song to Cannon Busters, The Showdown. The list goes on, and each song sets off a unique memory. I'm not saying I can be controlled with music, but if I want to convey a specific mood within a scene, I have a list of songs I use to prep so that I can get into the right mindset for a wide range of emotions. Find the music to inspire you and experiment in what can influence your emotions or thoughts. I know that the next time I want to write some shit show dance scene, I'm going to put on Real Big Fish's Sellout or House of Pain, as I try not to jump as high as I can. I am Ben Pick, and thank you for listening to me on Running to Write. If you enjoy what I do here, then please show me that I make quite the earworm by pressing those like and subscribe buttons. Let me know in those comments what embarrassing music you can't help but shout out the lyrics to. Do you agree with my opinions, or is everything I said wrong? I post my running and writing progress on Instagram and Twitter as Running to Write, so be sure to follow me and join in with your own thoughts. See you next time. Until then, appreciate your musical choices, especially those oddball favorites.